Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Texas Quilt Museum. My name is Deborah Bradley. I am the managing director here at the Texas Quilt Museum. We're just thrilled to have you with us today as we visit with Christa Parker and Crystal Battarbee, who are here from the International Quilt Festival to talk with us about all kinds of fascinating details and stories, and no pressure, girls. Has anyone been here before? Is this the first time for anyone? Well, welcome. Let me just tell you a little bit about where you are. So the Texas Quilt Museum is housed in a building that was constructed in 1892. All of the materials that were used in the construction of this building were taken from LaGrange or Fayette County, where we're seated. We have longleaf pine floors. Each one of those beautiful columns as you walk through the door were carved from a single longleaf pine tree. The bricks in Gallery 1 were baked out in a field, and how they did that is they took a bunch of wood and they burned it down to some really hot coals, surrounded those coals with the raw bricks, and stoked them for a couple of weeks to bake them. And then the bricks where we're standing were baked in a kiln. Now, I've been told that the clay comes from the same region, but the two different methods of baking are what yielded the two different colors. If you noticed in the front of Gallery 1, and we even have a little patch back here, we've got some rock, and that comes to us from the LaGrange City Hall building when they raised it to build a new one. Now, we have no idea how old this rock is. It does predate our 1892 structure. We joke all the time that they were just tired of baking bricks. So they just thought, we're just going to shove a bunch of rocks in those holes and call it done. But it does add some visual texture to the building, as well as adding to the history of our building. In 2010, our founders, Carrie Bresnahan and Nancy O'Brien Quintus, desired a location for the Texas Quilt Museum. So they are also the founders of the International Quilt Festival, which takes place in Houston every fall at the George R. Brown Convention Center. So they happened upon our building and set to work having it restored. It took about a year, and in 2011 we opened our doors, and since then we have welcomed almost 120,000 friends from all 50 states, all U.S. territories, and 68 countries in this world. So we're glad to welcome you here today. Among the beautiful quilts that we have on our walls, we are also the home to the Pierce Memorial Library, which is the largest quilt research library in the Southwest. It boasts about 11,000 volumes or periodicals and catalogs available for quilt research or inspiration. And it's also the home to our Cobalt Antique Textile exhibit, which has samples of textiles that date back to the 1700s. So there's lots of fun stuff going on here at the Texas Quilt Museum. A couple of things to remind you, we also have a Texas Quilt Museum store here, so if any of you feel like you have to have a little retail therapy before you go, we're happy to help you with that. Of course, 100% of all proceeds, all sales proceeds, goes right back into the museum. And then outside is our grandmother's flower garden. It's one of the very few period gardens in the state of Texas, meaning that everything that's planted out there was native to Fayette County from 1890 to 1930. Just want to quickly thank our docents that help us. They round out our staff here at the from the Colorado Valley Quilt Guild. We can't do what we do without their expertise. They are the volumes of knowledge for those of us like me who are completely ignorant when it comes to quilting. And then the LaGrange Garden Club is helping us get blooming again. We've lost quite a few plants because the 1890 plants, varietals, don't play well with the 2025 temperatures. So we're figuring that out and we're getting blooming again. A couple of great things happening on the horizon. We have our Easter egg hunt on April the 12th, and on May 10th we have our second annual Butterfly Jubilee. It is our fundraiser for the museum's children's programs. And then we have 8-week-long summer art camps this summer. We're going to be graduating 96 little artists. So 24 of them will be quilters, 24 of them will be cross-stitchers, 24 will be needle felters, and 24 will be knitters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're super excited about that. Also, a hello to our friends across the pond in the UK and down under in Australia, down in New Zealand, and all of our friends who are tuning in a couple weeks as we put this up on YouTube. We try to put the gallery talks up on our YouTube channel. So if you are ever in a time where you aren't able to make it, just check back in a couple of weeks and you'll be able to watch this wonderful wealth of information that you're about to see today. So who's going to talk first? Christa? Oh, you, Tom? You're going to talk?
Excuse me, Deborah.
Yes.
We're buds now, aren't we?
Sure.
But before you do that, there's a dedicated chair back here in the corner that looks very special. Is there a good story about this chair?
So that's the chair that Carrie sits in when she comes to visit us. Sometimes she surprises us, and so I always try to keep it on reserve for her. This is, she's a very busy lady at times, and so we just always try to be ready for her, and that's her special chair. And so every time she comes to see us, we always try to have that one at the ready for her. Thanks for asking. Okay, so Christa Parker, I would love to introduce you to our little crowd here and our folks across whatever ocean they're tuning in from. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm going to switch this off and we'll trade. But let's give her a round of applause.
So I hope I don't blow eardrums out today. Let's see. I really hope I don't blow anybody's eardrums out today because I tend to talk really loud anyway. So I'm going to try to keep my voice down just a little bit so that I'm not overdoing it. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, everybody all right? So I'm Christa Parker. I'm the International Quilt Festival Special Exhibits Manager. I'm one of the folks that organize all of the exhibits at the show. I'm not the only one. I'm just usually the contact person that everyone reaches out to make this happen every year. And I have Crystal Battarbee here today. She is the one person, my savior, my helper in this project of special exhibits. And she at one time was the director of the International Quilters Association, which was our judge show prior to the pandemic. International Quilt Festival took over the judge show after the pandemic, and so she was our director, and she's come back to make sure that I'm doing the job right. And I also have Gary Kay Butler is here with us today. She is watching over us. She is our new volunteer coordinator with the show, and so we'll be seeing, if you are at the International Quilt Festival in Houston, you will see her up front and center. If you're planning on volunteering, she's going to be your contact person. If any of you are in a guild in the area, please sit and talk with her for a few minutes today, because she will be your contact person to come and talk to the guilds and give you really good information. So we're here today to talk about a little bit about the judge show, special exhibits. We've got our exhibits from 2024 here in the museum. We've got our, last year in 2024 was our 50th anniversary. And so we have got, how many quilts did we share with y'all this year?
I think it's like 47.
47 of the 128 quilts that we had hanging at the International Quilt Festival this past year. And if you were lucky enough to go, you got to see the quilts hanging from the ceiling that we do on our anniversary years. It was amazing. It looked really beautiful, and let me see if I can get this up and going again. It's not going to do it. Excuse me. There I am. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I've got to keep the mouse moving or it's going to die. While it's here, that is actually, go back to it. That was the judge show winner this year. I couldn't get my computer to come up with the photos that I had from the show, so I'll just have to go here on the website. But yes, so we've got 47 quilts from the 50th anniversary, and then we have a very small portion of the judge show here. I think there's only like 7 quilts. Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the judge show quilts, and the rest of the other half here is the 50th anniversary quilts. So, I want a show of hands of anybody that plans on entering the show this year. I think I only have one. Okay. So we are, I just want to kind of do an overview of what we do and how to enter. You can share the information with a friend, or you can, I'm going to do some more stories of some of these judge show quilts so that they're a little fun to know a little bit of the background as far as how we do the judging at the show or in our offices. But let's see, so we're just going to get started with quilts.com. So this is our website. I wanted y'all to see that if you go on your computer, pull up quilts.com, this is our homepage. There's a lot of stuff on here, but really if you're entering a quilt, there's only one place you want to go. You can either go here, enter a quilt, or down here at the bottom, enter your quilt. And this will take you to the page to make that happen. Let's go back up here. Again, there's our judge show winner. This is a great, if you didn't get to the show this year, this is the one place you can go. Bob Ruggiero, who manages this website, he usually puts up a ton of pictures for everybody to see. Not only are the people that, if you go online, you can see tons of pictures, but this is a really good source. You can find information about our show. You can find information about the Texas Quilt Museum. I recommend to check it out at least once a month, see what's going on. Crystal. Do you want to tell stories first? Yeah. So, okay. So we're in the gallery where they've got the judge show winners. Judge show winners, the majority of these are either first, second, or third place winners, or we have our master awards. I've got a quilt behind me this is one of the third place in our hand quilted category. When any of you have an opportunity, please come in. This is the one place that you can get really, really close. At the show, we usually have something 3 feet variance for you to be able to get up to. That's what's so great about the Texas Quilt Museum, is that you can come up and really get a good look. The piecing, the French knots, the applique, if you look at it, this is all hand done. It's absolutely, and this was third place. I mean, I wish you would have been there to see what the first place was. It's absolutely gorgeous. They did some beautiful piecing. And I was telling some of the folks here today that the quilts are, the majority of the handwork quilts come from Japan for our international guests. We have a few that are domestic quilts here from the States, but this is one of the categories we find that a lot of our Japanese artists like to join. So when you get a chance, please come back up here and take a good look at this one. It's absolutely gorgeous. And we thank her for letting us keep it a little bit longer than the International Quilt Festival, and we were able to see it here at the museum. Let's go around the corner here. So this was the second place in the pieced category. Oh, no, excuse me. This is actually first place in abstract. This artist is from Japan. She was with us. She actually, if you were at the show, again, she came in her full Japanese kimono and dressing. She was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And she sat with the quilt every day, did lovely stories when she wasn't taking a class. She would come and sit at least 3 or 4 hours a day and talk and speak with everybody. And her English was a little bit broken, but she loved to tell stories about her quilt. This was wonderful, and the applique on this quilt is amazing. So this was our first place in abstract.
And that one has a code on it.
Oh, yes.
So each one of those circles is a letter.
And I didn't have this at the show.
Yeah.
So this was new to us. It's actually it's a Sound of Music.
Yeah, it's an homage to her mother who was a mountain climber, and the circles they spell out in code, Climb Every Mountain, the song that Julie Andrews sung in The Sound of Music. So it's really kind of a fun, beautiful homage to her mom.
And I will say this, Ricky Timms was one of our judges this year, and this was probably one of his most favorite quilts.
That's so unusual.
Yeah.
That her mother was a mountain climber and she's a quilter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this was beautiful. Again, when you get a chance, really get up close and take a look at this one. Now, I love the story on this quilt. This is the Master Award winner for Innovative Artistry. Now, does anybody have any idea what this quilt is? It's actually a whole cloth quilt. And what's so amazing about this quilt is that it's, the color that you see here is all painted. It's not separate fabric. And so you have to imagine that they went in and did the outline. I don't even begin to understand how this lady did this. She's from Australia, I think.
Yeah, Victoria.
Yes, she is. She's from Australia. Absolutely incredible. This showed up on our table, and I want to tell you a little bit about the judging process too, because we have 3 amazing judges every year that come, not always the same judges that come, and we start showing these quilts. It's not, they never know what to expect. And sometimes you see these quilts and you think, oh, it's just different fabrics. No, it's not. It's not all fabric. It's painting and quilting what makes this piece so amazing. We just loved it. The naughty corner. Read the stories on these. The labels are the most important thing to read at the show. If you find something that you love, I recommend that you read the artist statements. And if you have questions, we have docents walking around in the show. Please ask them questions. And if they don't know the answers, come to the special exhibits desk. I'll be there. Crystal Battarbee, we have our PCs, or our Peace Corps members who are very informed about all of the information on the quilts. So please find one of us, and we're happy to answer any questions that we can. Okay, let's move on to this next one here. This is she is from Spain. Now, I can only give you information based on how we reacted when we saw these quilts. We saw the pictures online. That's how most of the quilts come into us, is we have images of the quilts. And we knew it was going to be amazing, but you don't know until it gets to us how amazing it truly is, because a lot of it, not only is the piecing amazing, but it's the thread work in this quilt is amazing. You can get up close to it and you just see how just magnificent it is. And I think this a Jeannie Niemeyer quilt here, Crystal?
Jenny Byer.
Jeannie Byer quilt. This was somebody that they really admired, and she wanted to make sure that this was in her quilt when she made it. So again, please come up and take a really good look at these pieces. That's what's so amazing about the Judge Show, is that they are masterpieces that, unlike painted art, these are what you do. It's your artistry with your fabrics and thread, and some people can't even imagine that this can be made. And here it is, and it's just so detailed. We loved it. So again,
Show them the back of it.
this one. So you can really see the thread work on the back of this piece. Yeah. Pretty amazing. And then you see you see those little tags. That's how we keep everything organized amazingly enough. A lot of what's on these labels are on those labels in the back. Now this is our Master Award in Thread Artistry. And this is Judith Phelps. Amazing. Again, it's the same. It's the thread. It's just the depth of being able to look at this piece and how it's all painted. It's just incredible. And again, you can see it's almost the same on the back. It's incredible. And now, and if you were at the show this year, you were able to see she spoke with her quilt the majority of the show. I think Judy was there pretty much the whole time with her husband, and And it was always the big crowd. That's what's wonderful when we have big Master Award winners, is that a lot of these artists will come and talk about their quilts, and we just love them. So this is, again, very detailed. And I want y'all to really take an opportunity to come up close and take a look at it and see what they've done here. Okay. And so now this is one of our, this is a Ukrainian quilt. And this was one of our Judge Show award winners by Lisa Ellis chose. Lisa Ellis was one of our judges last year. The award, I think each judge gets to choose their favorite quilt, as long as it didn't receive a master award or a first, second, or third place. They get to choose one of the quilts that was their favorite, and this was hers. And if I'm correct, I cannot speak Ukrainian, but we did have a PC in our office at the time that was Russian, that knew a little bit of, she could understand a little, she could read some of the language, and this is a folk story within this quilt about a soldier going to war. And the prairie points on this quilt are just very detailed and so beautiful.
Precise.
Very precise. And to create that pattern within the color choices, just gorgeous. And these are all, from what I was told, there's in the Ukraine, these fabrics that you see, usually a family, it's almost like having a family crest. So all of these fabrics represent I would say either a region or a family. So that when you look at this and you see kind of it's simplified, well, it's part of what their country is about in the quilting world or in the fabric world. It's all I don't even know how to describe it. We never really got a name of what that was. We just knew that it represented the family.
A Scots plaid.
Right, if you have the Scottish plaid, this is the Ukrainian fabrics for their families and or regions.
Clan.
Yes. Okay. And now this is the difference. This one is a pieced, second place in pieced. Again, if we look at the one at the end, that one's painted, this one's pieced. Again, the choices of fabrics, just amazing. The quilting is amazing. And again, when the judges are reviewing these quilts, even though this is pieced, and the piece, they're pretty well judged all the same. We're looking for color choices, quilting techniques, overall design, and we want to make sure that this pops off the wall. And so when they're looking at all of this, Crystal's probably better at talking about the judging, and I'll let you finish that later. I'm not going to go any further in it. But basically the piece, this one is piece, but it has kind of that same look, but yet this one is all this is different fabrics and quilting. This is the abstract second place, and this one's called Friends, and this is a really good read. This one's a good label read because it's all their friends from high school. And there's actually, let's see, I think there's one with something soon, let's see, hold on. This was the one that says, 2 have passed away, and so they are depicted as slightly going off of the quilt. So when you see this one and this one, and there's a little bit in the artist statement about each one of the people in the quilt, but I thought that we just love the story in this one here. So out of all the judge show, we had, let's see, I think there was probably almost 500 quilts entered, and we selected 100, was it 180?
200 and something.
200 and something that were selected to be in the show.
Maybe about 247, something
Okay.
like that.
Yeah. So 247 were selected to be there, and everything, when you go to the show, a little bit of advice, look down, look at the carpet color. If you want to just see the judge show, you will look at the blue carpet. And then all of the special exhibits, or what we call there's, and I'll talk about those, but the special exhibits are on a different colored carpet, which is usually gray. So gray on the outside, blue on the inside, and all the blue carpet, you'll get to see all of the different categories. But that was the 2024 winners, the selection that we're allowed to travel here to the museum this year. And I hope y'all take a little bit of time to read the labels. We're going to be here for just a little bit after we speak, and if y'all have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them about that. And then we've got the 50th anniversary. Now again, we had all of those hanging from the ceiling this year. Beautiful exhibit. Next year we won't have that. In the 2025 we will not have that, but equally beautiful. We'll have a lot, gosh, we're just now getting started of our entrance coming into the show. All of our calls for special exhibits close the month of April. So we'll have, we'll have to look at all that online. And once again, it's gone off again. Let's see if I can, let me get this back up for y'all, see if I can see it.
Did y'all want to see the one glow in the dark?
Yes.
Yes! Now, I did not know that glowed in the dark. I did not know that glowed in the dark. Okay, here we go.
It's that one right there.
And this was actually by Lisa Ellis, this quilt, and she was one of the judges at the judge show this year. Isn't that amazing? And I did not know that this quilt glowed.
Did she know that it was?
Yes,
glowing?
she did.
It's so random, it makes you kind of think that you wonder if she knew.
Lightning bugs.
Yeah. I was telling the ladies earlier that we had that we actually, I think it was in 2018 or 19, we had a Brazilian artist who was trying to bring an all glow-in-the-dark exhibit to the show, and unfortunately, that did not work out because in the George R. Brown, you know, it was so expansive and all the lighting, and there was no way to display it without spending thousands of dollars to create like a big dome to have people walking in and that security-wise, and it just didn't work. So we just took pictures of them in the dark, and we had a glow-in-the-dark, well, we had a picture of it, what it looked like glowing in the dark, and then we had the exhibit. But unfortunately, as you can, even in here, it was difficult. Everything, I mean, it has to be pitch black. That wouldn't have been very safe in a convention center, I think. Yes. Exactly. Not a good idea. So I'm going to go in here and just show you really quick on how to enter the show. So we recommend go to quilts.com, and I've already, here, let me go back to the home page so I can make sure y'all know where we're at. So this is what you would find, this is where you're going to end up when you go to the quilts.com. And we have a ribbon right there, so you click on enter the show, and here we are. This, the very first section that you come to is the judge show. And there's a little, see that little hot pink here? Just click on it. And there we are. We're at where we're going to start our entries. There is a picture of, now look how tiny that quilt was, y'all.
Wow.
That was the best of show this year. And I am telling you, it was amazing. If you weren't able to be there and get a close-up look of it, all of this is fabric.
Yeah.
It is a frame. It is all fabric and thread.
Wow.
And it was very, when you even walked up to it, you could not tell that it wasn't a frame, like a wooden frame. You really had to be up on that piece to really recognize it. And it was, so, and then this back here looks like just a damaged fabric, but it actually was all quilted. All of the technique that she used, it was all, she used a machine, but this is, and so she did this piece, and when you turn it, I can't get my computer, I can show you the pictures of it today. When you turn this quilt around, it was almost like there were two cats quilted into the back of this quilt.
Oh, wow.
And you look at the front and you didn't see the quilt, the cats. And you were like, well, how did she do that? How did she put those quilts on the back and you can't see it on the front? Well, we did a little sleuthing. We had to think of the process and how did that work. So what she did was, there was a layer of this black fabric and on the back is a purple fabric. She quilted all of that and added the cats on the back at that time. This part is all added and layered on top of that black fabric. And then quilted again on top of that. Or just, I would think that this was quilted separately away from this piece and then layered on top of it. Because when you turned it around, it looked like the cats were hiding behind the teapots. So cute. And of course, they were Persian and they were beautiful. It was gorgeous. But Chen Jing came from China to visit us, and we didn't know that she was coming. And I was just like glowing the whole time she was there. She had a lovely little piece of mechanics that translated for her. And you just had to talk slow, but we would be able to communicate. She had a family friends that lived in Houston, and they spoke broken English, so we could talk a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. I had them pull up some of her work that she was showing in Japan and also in China, and I wish we could show some of her bigger pieces. As tiny as that is, she had pieces that she's done that are as tall as 12 foot. She was standing in front of at an expo in China that she was showing off her work, and it was much more abstract, and it was huge. And she's a tiny little lady. And who had a question? Yes?
Well, if she had the cats on the back, on the black fabric, wouldn't that be a false back?
No, because it was layered. All of it was layered. So there was the black fabric with quilting, and then the purple fabric, and then the pieces with the teapots were layered on top of that. So yeah, there was a lot of quilting done, and there was a lot of layering. There was no, when you touched it, you could tell that there was a lot going on in Crystal.
I just want to say, a lot of times we see false backs, they're typically to hide something. And it's typically, you can't see the quilting if they've got a false back. So she wasn't trying to hide anything. You could see all the quilting on the back. It's just that there were layers.
Yeah,
It was on the front?
No, so the black and the purple went together and it was quilted, right? And then the teacups, this part was all done separately, almost like it was quilted and then appliqued on top of it. After it had been quilted, it was cut out and put adhered. So the black fabric in the back almost looked like a wallpaper. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And the frame was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It was, again, she deserved that best of show. Even though it was kind of like, everybody was like, oh, that it's so tiny, but it was pretty amazing. Where are we going?
Not to tell a name, but it brought one of the judges to tears.
Yes, it did. Because he had never seen it. It was so innovative, and the idea of how it was designed was just, they were very, just like, couldn't believe it. So, yes, it was a great quilt. So, yes, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say on that, the presentation of that quilt was wonderful because there were photographs that
Yes,
showed that there were actually 4 layers of quilts there.
yes,
There's the background, there's the pots, there's the cups, and there's the frame.
Yes.
And then they were all quilted together to make one cohesive unit.
yes,
And she was delightful.
yes.
She was
She was wonderful and trying really hard to communicate with everybody. She was excited to be there. We were excited she was there, and there was always a huge crowd. And the gentleman with her is the head of Handy Quilter, and they are always our Best of Show sponsors. That's Mark Highland. Okay, let's go down here a little bit. Does somebody else have any questions? No? Okay, so this part, let me go to my information over here. So, because I wrote a little bit. So we've got one Best of Show, this isn't going to show it, one Best of Show, 5 Master Awards, and then we've got a first, second, and third place in each category. And this year we will have, what was it, 10 categories?
10 categories.
10 categories. So we actually added to the categories in our Best of Show, or our judge show this year. So I really hope that anybody that you know that's wanting to enter, please let them know to go and look and review what is out there. So abstract is one that we've done forever. Alternative techniques, animal kingdom, we've brought back. Actually, those alternative techniques, any of the categories that you see here are actually categories that we had when we were in the IQA, which is International Quilters Association, which was before pandemic. Now that it's in the International Quilt Festival Judge Show, we've decided after, we've had the show, this particular judge show for the last 4 or 5 years now. We decided people were wanting more to add into. So we've got the alternative techniques, animal kingdom, applique, balance and pieced, and applique, handmade, naturescape, people portraits and figures, pictorial, and pieced. Then we also give 3 awards in the judge's choice, like I told you about the piece back here. And then we also do a viewer's choice that everyone, if you haven't done it, this is a part of the show that you as a guest can be a part of and vote. You can only vote on the judge show quilts. It does not include the special exhibits, but the judge show quilts, you can go and say, that's my favorite. I really want to make sure that it gets an award, and it's a $500 award for any artist that did. I can't remember, I don't think, most of the time everyone votes for a quilt that isn't already voted on. Usually they're looking at quilts that are in the category exhibit but did not have an award, but I think everybody's up for it. But
Everybody is.
and then we also have a new award this year. It's for, and I don't have, Bob hasn't added it to the website, but it's called Young Emerging Artist Award by, that is being represented by Katie Pasquini. And it's a $700 award. Anyone that's 30 years old and under, after, whenever the show starts, can be awarded the Young Emerging Artist Award. And that will be, I think, we haven't decided yet. It's a new award if we're going to be jurying that prior to going to the show, or if that's going to happen at the show when Katie can be there. We haven't talked about that, but that will be a $700 award. And so, yes. Does anybody have any questions about any of the categories that are out there? Yes, ma'am.
How do you determine the different categories from year to year?
Well,
Okay, they are, typically we set the categories, and they generally stay unless we see a need for another category. And usually the way you determine a need is when you see the entries and there's some consistency in, hey, we need to recognize this, or we have enough entries that we need to maybe split out another category. If you're familiar with the judge show, we have had, we're heavy on abstract quilts, pictorial quilts, that type of thing. And what happens is you can get 100 entries in those categories themselves, where you might have 35, 45 entries in another category and 25 in another. So they kind of get heavy. What we had sometime before in those art categories is we split them out. So we did some of the quilts out of pictorial. Some may come out of abstract as well by nature. Not too many probably, but so we split pictorial. Animal kingdom was a hugely popular category before. And if you look at our pictorial category real often, you've got tons of animals represented in there because everybody loves animals. So we pulled out animal kingdom, we pulled out naturescape,
yes.
and then we pulled out people portraits and figures. And we're thinking that in what happened before when we did that was it split out that category nicely. So you still have pictorial, which is, and the definitions are in the rules. Pictorial is going to, they're all going to be representational categories. But that will split out pictorial nicely so that we have a balance, a more balanced
Yes.
set.
And also, when you're at the show, it'll allow you to go within those categories and view them, and you're not jumping from one design style to the next within that pictorial category. We used to have just based on size. It used to be a large pictorial or small pictorial. And now with it being organized, all sizes can be within
pictorial.
like Animal Kingdom and the Naturescape and people portraits and figures. The sizing is not really, we're not strict in those categories, but you will be able to walk within those and see all the landscape quilts. And then you can go over and see all the people quilts. It's not all mixed up, and I think it'll be easier to understand and even judge for that matter. So like items will be able to be seen together rather than everything being so divided up. Yes, ma'am.
You don't have these categories, but you allow people like cherry wood fabrics to come in. They have their own.
Yes, and that's part of the
How do a lot of companies want to come in, or?
Yeah, so that's part of the special exhibits.
Yeah.
So that's a little confusing for everybody sometimes. That's what we're going to talk about it today too, is that, so we have this judge show. These are our new categories. We've talked about the awards. So let's move on to let's go back. Let's see. There it is. So here are all of the, so the judge show, and then we have the call for entries. Now this is our company's, I hate to put it in the sample, but it is true. It is almost like your, let me just say that it's a little bit like the judge show, but I think this makes people feel a little bit more comfortable about entering because it is juried into the show. It is not judged. So anytime you want to put, like Celebrate Life, this is an exhibit purely for if you have quilts that you want to remember someone, weddings, baby quilts. Maybe you have an antique quilt that a family member made many years ago. You don't even have to be a quilter to put a quilt in this part of the show. And it just gives you the opportunity to show off a piece of artwork that you have in your family that has a memory and a feeling for you. So this is kind of the feel-good exhibit. We go on to what we call our classic, well no, this one is the new one for this year, Fine Feathered Quilts. And this one is with princess feathers and feathered star quilts. So Nancy Puentes is one of our founding members, and she is one that loves the feathered quilts. And she has a whole collection of them. They actually displayed here at the Texas Quilt Museum. So we thought, well, we're going to put an exhibit out for everybody to show off theirs as well. And so Nancy will have some of her quilts at the show, and we have people joining, putting their entries in so that they can have their quilts displayed. Again, these quilts are juried in and they are not judged. You will not be winning prizes in this particular part of the show. Let's move on.
What's the size on that?
On the feathered quilt?
Yeah.
That one is at
88 by 90.
Yes, it's a large one.
Yeah. So that was, no, not the size of that quilt, the size in the.
Oh, in the
Minimum to.
50 by 108 minimum.
Okay.
Minimum of 50 and a maximum of 108.
Okay.
Okay. Now, and again, if this information is all on the website, so you can go back. We're going fast today. Yes, ma'am.
So what jury means just allowed to show?
So what we have is maybe we will get, let's say, 50 to 80 entries, but there's a limited amount of space per exhibit at the show. So what we normally will set the number, it just depends on the works that come in, but we'll select between 25 and 30 possibly out of that many of the exhibit quilts that are given to us.
But they're just showing it.
Yes, they're just showing it. So the jurors go through the quilts that are put in, and then we make our decisions, and then we will send out acceptance or decline letters. Now, I want to say this. If you have gone to the trouble to enter your quilt, and you are declined to be entered into the show this year, or any year for that matter. Do not let that discourage you. There are so many amazing artists who have been declined in their lifetime of putting it in. It just doesn't mean that it fit for that particular year. Keep trying, whether it be for the judge show or a special exhibit.
Thank you.
Because it's always, it just happens to be that year. Maybe there were just some really amazing quilts and not everybody can be selected because again, our exhibits are based on how many we can fit. And it really isn't about the quality of your work. It's never about that. It's always just how many we can actually fit. And what the jurors had decided they liked. And just know that Crystal and I are not jurors.
No.
Ever not. We are not jurors. We coordinate all the information, we gather it, we make it, give it out for everyone to be able to, we organize it so the jurors can do their job and the judges can do their job. But in no way are we the ones making those decisions. Yeah. Now this was a quilt that was in the show last year for Hands All Around, the Joan of Arc. Love that quilt, it's so pretty. And so that's what we call our classic call. It's one that we've had, this was a call that Carrie Bresnahan came up with many years ago. This is a lot for our international guests because it's really supposed to be about quilts that represent a country, represent whether it be a feeling or something in their country. Culture, yes. Like the quilt that we see in the back of it, hadn't it been in the judge show, it could have been in this exhibit. So this is, but anybody can enter. So in the Hands All Around category, it just has to meet the criteria within the definition here. In Full Bloom. We have a lot of entrants into In Full Bloom every year. This is another one of our classic calls. It's always the floral quilts. And these, I did not put up a traditionally blocked quilt. Like normally a lot of the quilts at In Full Bloom have this style design, and we love them. But then we kind of have these great modern ideas as well, and this is the one we chose to put up on the website this year. This was one of our In Full Bloom quilts from last year. Let's see here. And in the American tradition, these are amazing. Again, all of our, anything with blocks and our traditional designs, this is where we love to see those quilts come in. Landscape quilts. Okay, some of these, the names of our exhibits start kind of mirroring what we see in the judge show. This is where you can get started. If you don't feel comfortable putting your quilt in the judge show, and you don't want it judged, you can put it in the special exhibit and be seen. And again,
Can you submit your quilt to another year if it's in the juried?
oh yes. We have a lot of quilts that we see from, like that maybe were in the judge show 2 years ago. They've decided, oh, I want to show it again. They'll put it in there.
And the opposite way too?
Yes. And sometimes they'll get in it, but it's all based on what the jurors select.
Keep in mind that in the judge show, you have a 2-year window. It
Yes.
actually works about maybe 2.5 years, because you go back to the January of the year you're in. So this year, you would go back 2 years from January. So 23, January of 23, between January of 23 and sometime this year before the show. That's what you can enter in the judge show. So these don't have those limitations in them.
Yeah, most of the time they don't. Let's see.
Most of the time.
Most of the time you have to read the rules, and usually when you're going on the website and you see one of the calls, we call these call for entries. When you go in here, you'll look down here and see, this one doesn't have a made by date.
Yeah.
There is no made by date requirements for this particular call. And this is a new one for us. It is Modern Quilts, a Twist in Tradition. It is, we recommend, a lot of the quilts that are put into this particular exhibit are a traditional block that a modern quilter has taken and designed it and created something amazing out of it. it blows your mind what comes across the page for us every day when we open that up and start looking at them. So this was one of the modern quilts. And it can be, it becomes a modern quilt with color choices, the way they place the block, whether they've blown up a block or they've used different blocks together to create what we would consider a contemporary or modern design. So yes, this one's been a lot of fun. It's been very popular.
I would look at that and think it's an old-fashioned modified log cabin.
Right. And that's what we want. It's because it definitely is a traditional block, but I think a lot of people are, we've probably seen it before, but then some people have never seen some of those older quilts before. They're recreating them. It's a great part of the show to review and look through because you'll go, I recognize that. I've done one like that before. And they probably didn't even realize that it was an older style. But yes, modern quilts, a twist of tradition, is a really great one to join if you've got some quilts. Okay, this is the Reading and Remembrance, a tribute to Barbara Bush. So Barbara Bush this year is I think it was her 50th year in the what was it?
Literacy Foundation?
Yes, it has to be her Literacy Foundation, the 50th anniversary of the Literacy Foundation. So this was a quilt that was made for them, and it hangs in her offices. And so that's why we're showing it today, because it's actually one part of their collection. But we are asking for any quilts that are like a children's book, the cover of a children's book, or really anything that would do with reading, or even quilts that are a Barbara Bush, whether it be a string of pearls or a picture of her, anything. This one we're really hoping to help them celebrate, and we're hoping that if the exhibit is as amazing as we think it's going to be, that we will actually travel it to the two. We're hoping that they'll go to the Bush museums here in the state of Texas. So we'll wait and see. You'll have to come to the show this year to see what it looks like. And if you can't go there, hopefully to the museums. Okay, let's see. And this is one of the last ones, and that's tactile architecture. So there we have a log cabin, but it's also it's a cityscape. And so, yes, tactile architecture, one of our classic calls. We've had this particular call for a very long time, but we always get a lot of interesting quilts in this particular call. And so, yes. So this is our call for entries, but you were also asking about companies that put their quilts into our show. And right now, what am I working on? That very thing. We call those our proposals. So we put out for curated exhibits, and we have companies like Cherrywood, the groups like SACWA every year has a big exhibit in our show. We have, let's see, real quick. I know we have we're hoping for Moda's 50th anniversary is this year, that they're going to have an exhibit. I know I have an exhibit proposed from Handy Quilter. So yes, there are companies that have their teachers will all be, Handy Quilter will have all their teachers there this year, and so they've got exhibits that they want to show, but it's not like that every year. So some of the curated exhibits are coming from guilds, some of them are private interest that are coming in, but I'm organizing that. So on top of the 10 exhibits that I'm showing you here, of the special exhibits, we'll probably have upwards of close to, I would say maybe between 10 and 15 exhibits. The numbers are what you play with. There's usually 25 to 30 quilts within each exhibit, so you have to, it's a numbers game on what will fit.
So for quilt guild quilts with 1876 quilt work, that had to be a category.
That was a curated exhibit.
Okay. We couldn't figure out how that.
Yes, so the 1876 exhibit that you're talking about was a curated exhibit. It was a guild that took the antique quilt And their members all designed a quilt based on the antique quilt that they had. And so when they were all finished, they let us know that they wanted to propose an exhibit to us. They sent us the pictures and the description, and we send it off to our executive committee, and they make their decisions. They let us know, and then we're on our way to making a beautiful show.
So each year it could be a different.
Oh yes, every year is different.
Surprise.
And this year, I have several international curators coming to us, putting in, so I'm really excited to see what is going to be
Other
chosen.
conventions.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like endless money. That's why we want everybody to join, we want everybody to come. We have more quilts to see and more things to do. I know I'm missing out some good stuff today. I wanted to show y'all, can I show y'all just the entry form real quick? Whoever, if you have entered, does anybody ever have any trouble putting their pictures in? Yes, I hear a couple. So a lot of times, okay, I'm going to go into this entry page for tactile architecture. And I don't think it's going to allow me to do that one. It's not going to let me do it. Because then I'm going to have to enter all my stuff. So whenever you go into the entry page, the very first, oh, I can do it with this preview page. There it is. I recommend if you decide you're going to join, please print out a sample of the entry page and a sample of and print out the rules. So for the judge show, there's only one click, there's one form to print out. But if you're going to enter any of the different, any of the special exhibits, all of them have a little bit different information within each one of those sets of rules. So based on what you're going to enter, please print out the rules for that particular call. The first thing it's going to ask you is to download your images. We require that you have not only a overall image, but a detail image. And when you're taking your overall image, we want you to have a very simple background. Don't take your pictures outside, please. Because it adds, if you don't crop your pictures, you're going to end up seeing a lot of background noise, with that being trees and whatnot that we don't want to see, or maybe even people's fingers. That's not what we want to see. We want to see just the quilt, and we want to see the binding. So you see these quilts hanging on a brick background. We want simple. You want, if you get it on a white wall, or if you're hanging at your local guild and it's on some black curtains, please take a picture that way. So, and then you want to crop it down to where you only see barely an inch from your binding. But we want to see your binding because we want to make sure that the quilt is completed. That's no ribbons. And no ribbons. Take your ribbons off. We don't want to see. We want to see the binding. We want to know. We actually found some quilt that was not completed. Our artist had chosen the wrong picture when she went into her file. And she sent us the picture, and it wasn't completed. And we had to send her a little email and said, "Can we please, maybe you just didn't put the right picture," and she hadn't. And we ended up switching the picture, and it was no big deal. And also with that statement, if you're entering and you have some problems, we are available. Whether you call us or you email, we always answer. And it's usually a really quick fix, because amazingly enough, we can go in on our side and help with many things. If I see that somebody's trying to enter pictures and they're not, it's glaringly obvious that you were having trouble with your pictures. I usually will ask an artist, not everybody, especially closer to the time that the call closes, because then it gets really busy. But if someone is having trouble, they usually will just email me the picture. I will resize it for you, and then boom, it goes into the system very quickly.
Thank you.
It's very easy. Yeah, and I recommend to look at these entry forms really fast. Go through the entry form, look at the information you're going to need. Have it by your side, have your pictures ready, so when you really go to start and enter that quilt, it's a really quick process. It's 20 minutes.
Tell them about when you enter your pictures, when you upload your pictures, it sometimes takes a few minutes. So don't sit there and think,
Don't be frustrated.
it's not working, go get a cup of coffee and come back.
Yeah, and it really depends on your computer. It really depends on your
And then
computer.
if you're still having trouble, then you can like email us,
Yeah.
you know, something.
You mean pictures?
Yeah. No, who has that? I know I don't some days. I don't some days. But there's a lot of questions in here. I recommend to go over this. You do have the ability, let's get out of that. You have the preview page. Click on that, look at it, look at what information you're gonna need, write it down, print out that page, fill it out, do whatever organizing you need to do before you actually go in and enter the show, because it'll make the process, you'll feel so much better about it. You won't have to close it down, start over. Sometimes I'll go into the system and somebody has literally gone in 6 or 7 times to fill out for one quilt. And really, if they would have had all the information ahead of the time, they could have gotten it done. But, let's see, I think that's, what do we need? Okay, I think that's it, guys. I can talk all day, and I thank y'all for coming and talking to me.